welcome to another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. I am Gary Mack, and I am joined, as always, on this fine, sunny, warm Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning with the great Rich Baxter. Rich, how are you this lovely day?
Hey, good afternoon, good morning, great time of the day to you, Gary. Doing well. How about yourself?
I am doing very well, Rich. The weather has turned for the better, unless you're in Colorado like the Mets are, where they got snowed out the other day. But unbelievable how the weather's changed here. We've got some bright, sunny skies, and after a couple of weeks of dreary rain, it's nice to get out, get some vitamin D in there, and get a little things done around the house outside.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been waiting for this time. Just last week, my heater was still running. I'm sure yours was too.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have warm weather, which is, of course, conducive to good baseball weather. And as you said, your Mets were snowed out in Colorado. That's amazing. I was watching a game last night on the second game of the doubleheader there, and they still had their long sleeve shirts on, and people had their hoodies up, and I was like, "Wow, when's spring going to come to Colorado?" But so glad that we have it this week. And yesterday, I was on a podcast, one of our sister podcasts that has been around for a long time now, Baseball PhD, with the great Ed Casputis, Farley Dillinger, and Mark Rantala. So it was great fun talking to those guys. They're out of Cleveland, Ohio. If you get a chance, subscribe to their podcast. You're going to love it. Baseball PhD is what it's called.
Yeah, and as you say, the great Ed I always screw up
Casputis.
his Kisputis. And he's been on with us a couple of times in the past, and always a font of knowledge, and he does a great job. And I'll be sure to check that out. I'm sure you did your usual excellent job as always. Guys talking about the Phillies or MLB in general, or
Yeah, we were talking about the Phillies. If you follow their show, they take a look at each team throughout the season, and it gives them 30 chances to do that, 30 shows in so many weeks. So they'll recollect about trips to, say, Philadelphia that they've had. Ed will read some of the top spots in the city usually, and they'll have a guest on that's either baseball related or sometimes he's just a fan or a aficionado of the city. And they were talking about Wawa, and I just took a little swig. If you're listening to us or watching us on the YouTube or Facebook video page that we do, yeah, they were talking about Wawa. I think Mark Rantel or Farley Dillinger brought that up. Don't forget, if you're in the Philadelphia area, to go to a Wawa. And of course, maybe he doesn't know, but they're expanding down into Florida, down into Virginia now. I think up in northern New Jersey and maybe even New York at some point.
uh, I don't know about that, but yeah, Wawa is quite big in the Jersey area, as you say, and pretty interesting that you just so happen to have a cup of their Java there.
Yep. Yeah, a little show secret. It gets me picked up for the show. I usually go down about an hour or so before we go live and get a nice 24-ounce coffee if I don't make my own. But yeah, I had a lot of fun talking to those guys yesterday, and we even brought up the Mets a little bit, so it was fun.
Ah, the Mets. Well, we talk about all teams, so I'm not going to talk too much about the Mets. But they're playing okay ball. They're in one of those win one, lose one routines, and I'll take that. They have to avoid the long losing streaks, especially with the injuries now to Scherzer and DeGrom and McGill. Three starting pitchers out now, and they're patching it together. And got blown out in the second game, but they took the first game, so that's okay. You take a split. Um, they just got to keep their head above water. They've got to 6-game lead or whatever it is now. So let's just keep it until we can get some of the troops back in 6 to 8 weeks. If they play 500 until then, they'll still be in pretty good shape, I think. And um, they've got a good team. I think they can weather the storm, but it's hard to lose 3 starting pitchers. And they built up pitchers trying to get them to have some depth, but when you lose 3, it's tough. And 2 of them have what 5 or 6 Cy Youngs between the 2 of them, so that hurts a lot. Losing Scherzer really hurt, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, plenty of season left, as we keep saying throughout the year. But next week's Memorial Day weekend, a big marker in the baseball season. And we saw the teams wearing, and they're wearing this weekend, the memorial hats, the Air Force and Army Armed Forces Day, so to speak, was the 21st. I love those hats that they're wearing, the military style.
Yeah, I can't say that I like them that much. I have to disagree, Rich. I'm not a big fan of them. I think maybe had they done the camouflage in the team colors instead of all green, and because some of the uniforms just look kind of ridiculous with it, uh, but it is what it is, and they're gonna wear next week different caps for Memorial Day. They're gonna wear a jersey with a traditional red poppy on the left, adorning the visage on the left chest, and it's going to say "Lest we forget." And the right side of the New Era caps will feature the stars and stripes in a silhouetted batter with language depicting Memorial Day. And interestingly enough, Rich, you cannot buy these products. They will not be sold at retail. At least that's what the one report said. And I don't understand. Usually they sell it for charity, I guess, but this time they're not selling the Memorial Day caps or jerseys.
Yeah, you can still buy the Armed Forces one, though. So
Right, right.
if you're so inclined. And I guess it just happens to do with supply and demand. They're probably limited type of markets that will buy these type hats. Usually, you used to see a lot of these type hats on the discount rack, as we talked about before. And that was usually my favorite stop at the hat store. I'd love to see, what's on discount. What could I afford, to bring home? Because these hats are expensive these days.
Yeah, oh yeah.
$45.99 they want for this hat. But it is kind of a premium style hat. They got the stars and stripes, I guess, for a certain amount here inside the logos. If you're watching the show on our video channels, you'll see a demonstration of what this weekend's cap looks like. I'm curious to find next week's cap. I guess I can't find it online here at Lids because they're not going to be selling it. But
yeah, you'd think they'd have a picture of it though somewhere.
Yeah, I would buy one of these hats. Of course. I don't want to pay full price, though. I'm just that kind of guy.
Well, no, I don't blame you. I used to go to the stores now and then. Now everything you can do online and with the pandemic, but I would go to the store and look for the closeouts, and online too. You can look for the closeouts and you can get a good deal sometimes. And I mean, do you really care if it's last year's model? Uh, to me, I don't really care that much if I can get it at half price.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
A lot of people said the same thing. They actually like last year's better, but
And that's another thing. Yeah, sometimes it's like the first. Remember when they first came out with the Stars and Stripes for the July 4th? The first year was the best, I thought.
yeah.
and then they kept changing it, and and then a couple of years ago they had a nice one, and that's the one I grabbed that one. But I think some of the other ones were pretty bad, and I didn't care for them much. And like you said, now they keep. When they first started with these extra caps, it was the same price as the regular cap, which I won't say. I remember years ago getting it. 1986, I think I needed a new Met cap. I bought a new era cap for $10. Now they're at the same cap as $42 or 45 for the special occasion cap. So it's pretty crazy, and you have to really look for the discounts when you can.
Yeah, yeah. Here's a close up if you're watching our video feed again on Facebook Live, and we'll send an invite out to you on this show. About 11 a.m. is most of the time on Sunday mornings is when we tape the show. So if you want to jump on our Facebook fan page over at Baseball Talk Radio Show, you can tune in live and see how we do the show. It's essentially done this way every time we record. We don't have a lot of dub-ins and edits and things like that. But these caps look pretty good. I like the Phillies there with the stars and then the stripes there. And over on the Yankees side there, same thing, stars and stripes. Mets there as well. So, yeah, see if you can get one. I know they're in short supply, so pick one up if you like it because they don't last forever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Rich, we were talking before about the injuries and everything, and I was just wondering, have you noticed that there seems to be a lot of injuries so far, and a lot of arm injuries and that sort of thing? We've got the Mets starting pitching; 3 starters are out, and well, starting catcher, broke a bone in his wrist, so that's not really coincided with that. But you got Bryce Harper still DHing because he can't throw a baseball now. So um, I noticed a couple other teams announced that guys were getting Tommy John surgery. The Yankees have one guy getting Tommy John surgery. Another guy's out with an arm issue. What do you think is going on here with all of these arm issues again?
Maybe the shortened spring training season, possibly, or certain pitchers.
Ding, ding, ding. I think you're right.
Certain pitchers are, I don't want to say getting old, but aren't maybe capable of what they used to do before, possibly. Um, so, and I'm just going to order one of these hats online right now before I get shut out. There's only 5 more left in the
And
Phillies.
you're paying full price.
But here's where we got my issue. They want $15 to ship the hat, so it pushes it up even far and well beyond that. 3 business days. Let me see what else they have. All right, here's standard, $4.99. They hide that.
Oh, that's better.
So it's 50 beans for this hat. Nah. Don't know if I want it that bad, to be honest with you. 25 sounds much better.
And where are you ordering from? Lids?
Lids.com, yeah.
You should try Fanatics and see. Sometimes they have free shipping.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So.
Yeah, that's true. I'll have to check it out. Well,
Yeah.
sorry to disrail your topic, but yeah, tears and things like that. They're part of this game. Max Scherzer the other night was curious when he developed an issue. He knew it right away on the mound, but he had to signal the dugout for so long. He was like, cut me out of this game. And they were looking in, and he'd be like, yeah, me, cut me out of this game. Come out here, help me. You would think they'd have a signal or something, but
Yeah. I think they were so shocked that Max Scherzer wanted to come out of a game that they didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah, yeah, he's
I
bit quirky as it is.
Yes, yes. I do agree with you though. I think the shortened season, the spring training really has a lot to do with it. I don't think these guys were completely ready, and unfortunately, we're seeing these things pop up, and it's a couple of elbow issues and things like that, and you know they'll have to look into it more and see what they can do because it's not a healthy good for the game to have that many players out and teams struggling through it. But nobody's gonna feel sorry for you if you're on the other team, but that's for sure. And Rich, we saw something the first triple play of the season. How about that?
Yeah, always an exciting play. And I believe it was who? The Baltimore Orioles that pulled it?
No, it was you were in the right area, but it was the Washington Nationals that pulled it off with a 5-4-3 triple play in the seventh inning of a 7-0 loss to the Brewers on Friday night. Uh, Trailing the Brewers 2-0, reliever Carl Edwards Jr. walked Jace Peterson and Colton Wong to put runners on first and second. On the first pitch of the next at bat, Edwards got Luis Urias to bounce a one hopper to third. Mikael Franco, the third baseman of the Nationals and former Philly, I believe,
Michael
fielded
Franco,
it,
yeah.
stepped on third, one out, fired the ball off to Cesar Hernandez at second for the second out, and then on to Josh Bell at first for the third out. And there you go. That was a triple play, and that player that hit into it feels kind of silly, but it happens.
Yes, it does happen. And a Philly connection on that one with Michael Franco, Cesar
Yeah,
Hernandez, old battery mates there in Philadelphia.
yeah, yeah.
I was so glad to read that. I didn't know if they were playing like Baltimore or what. I just read Michael Franco and Cesar Hernandez. It was nice to see those players still together.
Yeah, 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 and they pulled off, uh, something you don't we see more of now, but something you don't see a lot of. Um, the triple plane. It's a great play if you ever seen one, But I can remember years not seeing one, and then all of a sudden you see a couple of them in one year. But yeah, triple play, Rich. So this year is chock full of history and strange things so far.
Yeah, and that's the great thing I love about baseball. I think I've said it before on the show. I know I have. You never know what you're going to see when you go to a baseball game. It could be something very unique. Doesn't always have to be a boring old game that some people think baseball is. You're always surprised at some firsts that you'll see at a baseball game. So head on out there, getting warmer weather. And Gary, the other night there was some controversy on a play. The Chicago White Sox playing the New York Yankees, and Tim Anderson, which I apologize, I've never heard of him. I don't follow the White Sox at all. Had some headlines, and I read it on Twitter yesterday. Josh Donaldson from the New York Yankees apparently referred to him as quote unquote "Hi Jackie" or "How you doing, Jackie," in reference to possibly Jackie Robinson, and it was a strange story. You know, nobody knew what had happened. Back and forth on Twitter, a lot of people were curious as to what would cause a benches clearing brawl nearly. And the Yankees did pull out the victory, 7-5 in New York. And after the game, Josh Donaldson was asked about, what happened and things like that. And he explained that he was just playing off a 2019 interview with Sports Illustrated in which apparently Anderson said, I quote, I feel like today's Jackie Robinson. So, I don't know. When you open yourself up to these type of
Yeah.
comments into magazines and things, it opens it up to players. They're not Boy Scouts on teams. They're going to try to, make you upset, try to make you get mad like that. And I don't know. I don't know about this. Did you hear much about it?
I heard a little bit about it, like you did, and Anderson, nice player. He seems like a bit of a hothead to me. He's been involved in a couple other skirmishes, if you will, this year so far. And look, Josh Donaldson is no saint either. He's a hothead. He's been involved in some pushing and shoving matches as well. So it's a bad combination. It was a stupid thing to say. They had a little bit, I think, the week before in Chicago. They had a little to do at third base. With Anderson is a picture there. If you're watching on the video, Anderson felt that Donaldson pushed him off the base, and I don't know, just the picture. It's hard to tell by that picture because it does look like he's pushing him off, but you'd have to see the whole play. But um, you know, some of these plays they just really should keep their mouth shuts on and off the field. I mean, we had it with Noah Syndergaard making fun of the Mets no hitter after a teammate of his threw a no hitter. Just keep your mouth shut. There was something this week too. And I can't remember who it was now that ticked me off because they were talking crap too, and I don't remember who it was, but again, keep your mouth shut. You never know when you're gonna have to come back on your knees begging for another shot with a team, and you don't want them to just say no.
Yeah, we did talk about that with Thor, the mighty Thor, and it goes beyond that. I just was monitoring some Mets fans on Twitter and seeing what they were saying about it still. And he has blocked some Mets fans from following him now, Noah Syndergaard. And now they're not going to be able to see any of his tweets if they're on their one account. Maybe they'll open a second account to see what he's saying. But
Yeah.
he's actively taking the role in blocking some of these people now. I guess because he's fed up with what's going on.
But he
yeah,
loved it when he was here.
yeah, same old thing, like drop it. It's well and
Yeah.
over, but interesting how he's blocking some of the fans and not vice versa.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just a shame that these. I don't know. I better not. I better not go any further on that one. But
Yeah, because players do monitor their social media. You can't help
yeah,
but monitor it. It's going to show up in your feeds at some point. I know I used to communicate a few times with some players trying to get interviews and stuff, and they won't agree to interviews on a small time podcast. I've found out over the years, and certainly they won't during the season. So it's just part of this me now. Everything in front of you. Nothing to chance. You don't have to wait for tomorrow morning's newspaper. It's all in front of you, and it's happening like this.
yeah. It's all immediate now, and
Yeah.
it's not necessarily a good thing. On the good side of things in baseball, we had a couple of call ups, Rich, and a couple of catches, as a matter of fact. In Colorado Rockies, I forget the kid's name. I think it was Brian Severin. He got called up, and this was a great story. The first pitch he saw, he fouled it back, and you'll never guess who caught the ball.
That's a good one. His his parents.
Very good. His mother caught the ball. He hit a foul ball, and it went right to his mother. Now, he should have really put her out in the bleachers. He would have got a home run on his first at bat, but he hit his first major league home run last night against the Mets. He also that was his first major league hit as well. After not getting a hit, but first pitch he saw, he hit a foul ball to his mother. So that's a great story. And the other great story was the Orioles called up their number one prospect, a kid by the name of Rushman, Ashley Rushman, I believe it is, and Adley Rushman, excuse me. And he hit a triple for his first major league hit, and he's a switch hitting young catcher, 24, I believe he is, and looks like a superstar in the making. Hopefully, he can stay healthy and live up to his number one status, as number one prospect. So, uh, Adley Rushman. Hopefully, we'll hear a lot more about him. And you're playing there's a video half showing there, and he's turning around, taking it all in. That's pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah, you got a nice ovation there. And if you've ever been to Camden Yards at Oriole Park, I guess they used to call it that. I guess it is still. But great place to watch a ball game, by the way. So
Yeah.
if you ever get down to Baltimore, taking a game over there, I used to take a ride down from South Jersey when Cal Ripken was still playing, and take my parents down there and stuff like that. It was something we always remember too. We used to
Yeah.
talk about it for years, and my son still brings it up. He was only a little youngster, but he appreciated going down as well. So great time down there. Almost feels like AAA or minor leagues to me because it's kind of fun down there. They have different things going on in the stands and things. But yeah, that's what this game's all about. A couple guys retire, like the guy out in San Francisco retired, the catcher. I forget his name at the moment.
Buster Posey.
Buster Posey, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he just retired a couple weeks ago, and now you get the new crowd coming in, and it's a constant ebb and flow in the major leagues. That's why I say, like, sometimes if you're going to go watch a game, you know, it might be the last time that you see certain players in baseball uniforms. They're not on the field forever, and baseball seasons and careers go by in a flash sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching grandsons now. Some of the guys and some of the guys were watching their sons. People that we watched when we were kids, or at least for me. I'm a little older, so I'm watching sons and grandsons play now. Bichette and Biggio and Vlad Guerrero Jr. and the other young man in San Diego whose name escapes me.
Yep.
But watch their dads play, and now they're playing, and it is. When you think about, you watch the guy's whole career, and well, that's what happens. The game
Doesn't
keeps moving on.
Yeah.
I just saw something that the Mets got Mike Piazza 24 years ago. Can you believe that?
Yeah. Yeah. Almost a
24
quarter
years ago.
quarter century.
It
Yeah.
doesn't seem possible. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem possible. But,
That's true.
where
Another
did the
thing
time go?
that doesn't seem possible is Mike Trout scoring his 1,000th run
Wow.
last night, joining Willie Mays and Alex Rodriguez on an elite list. Crossed a milestone on Saturday against the A's, becoming just the second player in franchise history to record 1,000 career runs.
Hmm.
So Mike Trout's career is flying by as well. He said, "quote unquote," it's pretty cool. And obviously, when I get on base, you have to have guys drive you in. So it's pretty special, even though it's an individual statistic. You need to have people driving you in. So I have to give it up for my teammates.
That's it. Even though most statistics are individual in the game of baseball, you got to have the teammates there, or else you're not going to have any. I mean, you can't build up your RBI totals unless guys are getting on ahead of you.
Yeah,
And same thing with it in this case. You can't get to 1,000 runs unless people are driving you in. So, um, congratulations to Mike Trout. He is a heck of a player.
yes, setting all kinds of records. And this might be the year that they make the playoffs as well.
Well, they're in the running, so let's hope that they can continue to stay that way, and hopefully they will make the playoffs.
Yes, indeed. So, tuning in here a week to go before Memorial Day, why don't we run through the standings real quick as we did last week? Becomes more and more relevant as the weeks go on here. Of course, plenty of time left um, for teams to make up room in this schedule and for the 22 season. Plenty of time to go up or down, really, some of these teams. But over in the AL East, it's still the Yankees holding court there, a 29-10 record, and a nice even home and away record as well. They're just about the same home or away.
I don't know how they're doing it, Rich. I really don't. The That's all I'll say to that.
Undescribable. Right underneath them, the Tampa Bay Rays have risen again. And what can you say about the Tampa Bay Rays? They have a team with players that aren't household names, but somehow every year they play well. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's like they have a superstar, they build them up, they trade him away, and they have somebody to take his place. So they're pretty incredible. They've got some organization. They really do. And kudos to them for staying up there.
Yeah, over in the NL or AL rather Central, it's my pick for the NL AL Central, and I keep calling it NL. Minnesota Twins still holding first place out there, amazingly.
Yeah, I picked them as well. I believe, didn't I? Oh no, I picked the White Sox. So it tells you what the heck I know. White Sox are hanging in there in second, 4.5 out. They're in okay shape. They're not in bad shape.
Yeah, they're not. They're close to 500. Out in the AL West, it's the Houston Astros with a game and a half lead over those Los Angeles Angels, the one with Trout, uh, Otani, and Rendon. Those three big hitters out there making a big difference for the Los Angeles Angels this year.
Yeah, and of course my pick is in last place right now. Your pick is in first. So Rich, you're kicking my butt here so far. Quarter of the way through the season, but Yeah, nice to see LA up there, the Angels. Nice to see a different team in the race, and hopefully they can stay there. Their pitching will hold up. With the whole, with them, the whole thing is pitching. They've got the offense. It's all about the pitching.
Yes, it is. Out in the National League, the NL East, it's the New York Mets. 12 games over 500, 27 and 15, coasting along here as the Atlanta Braves coasted into second place in the last couple days behind the
Hmm.
Philadelphia Phillies, who have let the ball drop, so to speak, 18 and 22, 4 games under 500.
Yeah, and Mets are the only team in that division over 500. That's good. They have a cushion for all you Met fans out there. And as we said about the infinitum, the injuries, if they can weather the storm and hold down the fort until some guy body's coming back, that'll be good, and hold on to at least a 5 game lead. Would be nice. It's at 7 now. If you can hold on to about 5, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting summer and a tight race. I think Atlanta's gonna get better as well as the Phillies, and the Marlins are always tough because of their pitching. So we will have to see how that works out.
Yes, indeed. And before I go on further, we had a comment on our YouTube channel this past week by a guy named Mega Man, and he says, I like this podcast under
Wow.
our comment section there. So thanks very much, Mega Man. Shout out where shout out is due. And leave us a comment. Leave us a review on the podcast if you're listening on Apple Podcast or Google Podcast, wherever you're listening to the show. The more good reviews we can get that people can read, the better our show will be. So I appreciate you leaving that comment, Mega Man, as I was all over different screens. And I apologize to our video watchers on that. I was trying to get back to the main screen with the standings to finish that out. But out in the AL, or here I'm doing it again,
Uh
the
oh.
NL Central, Milwaukee in the breadbasket area leading the NL Central by 4 games over the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh's up there under 500, but they're in third place right now, and Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds. The Cincinnati Reds may be the worst team in baseball. Look for them to start selling off some of their players. They've still got a couple of pitchers that are in high demand. Tyler Mahle, Luis Castillo, I believe the name is, and they may dump them sooner than later. Um, the Cubbies are struggling, so that division it looks right now, and I think barring the Cubbies getting red hot, I think it's a two horse race there between St. Louis and Milwaukee.
Yeah, they'll probably go back and forth uh, as we wind through the season here. As you said, we're almost a quarter into it. Out in the NL West, it's the LA Dodgers, whom the Phillies are very familiar with. They're playing their seventh game between the two teams here, just a quarter of the way through the season, and they'll be done seeing one another for the whole season. The Dodgers are on a 7 game winning streak, in danger of sweeping the Phillies this afternoon in Philadelphia. I was thinking about going up to this game, but there's threat of thunderstorms and stuff later, so I think I'll watch from home.
And the West is an interesting division. There's really four good teams that could win that division. Of course, the Dodgers are really the class of it, but San Diego made a lot of moves the last couple of years, and they're in it, and they're only a game and a half out of first. San Francisco, of course, won the division last year. they're still playing pretty good ball. They're five out, uh, but above 500. And then Arizona is at 500. And I tell you, I've said it before on this program, and I'll say it again. They got a feisty team, Arizona. They keep coming back. They got a good team, and I think probably they're a couple of moves away, a couple of players, but they're going to be a team to watch. I think in a few years.
Yeah, that's for sure. They could build upon that. And as you said, the Giants were up there. Just they're on a three-game losing streak, and combined with the Dodgers' seven-game winning streak, so they fell down a little bit. But they were right up there as well with the Padres and the Dodgers. And Padres still have that young team that you were talking about,
Hmm.
Gary, and they're in danger of sweeping the Giants today on May 22nd. They're scheduled to go at one another at 4:05. And Manny Machado is waking up for them. He's batting incredibly well this year so far and kind of carrying this team.
Yeah, Machado is picking up the slack for the shortstop who's out hurt. But yeah, they got a pretty good team. Hosmer's having a big year.
Yeah.
There was talking about trading him earlier in the year and in spring training, and I guess he didn't like that, and he got off to a very good start. So good for him. You know, he's making a lot of money. Hasn't really earned his contract so far. So this is really the first year he's earning that.
Yeah, as you said, Fernando Tatis Jr. out for 60-day IL, long range 60-day IL, and we saw Mike Clevenger come back, pitcher for the Padres, and he's got such an oddball delivery. He faced the Phillies the other night, and I was like, ugh, can't even watch him pitch. He's almost like that Clayton Kershaw.
The Mets had a guy they called up a relief pitcher, and he almost looks like he was throwing softballs or something. Last night he did a good job, uh, but he just looked funny as well. So
Floating those pitches in there, yeah.
It was just his arm angle it wasn't quite submarine, it wasn't quite sidearm, it was something in between. I don't know what you would call
Yeah, oddball is
it. Yeah,
probably
that's a good way to put it.
pretty
And
cool,
Rich,
though.
I don't know if you saw this story, uh, but a now former New York Yankees prospect allegedly had some issues with steals, and we are not talking about base running. Jake Sanford, the Yankees' third round pick in the 2019 MLB draft, was cut by the team last week over allegations that he repeatedly hounded teammates for equipment, such as bats and gloves, to sell online, and occasionally going as far as grabbing it from their lockers. Simply put, his teammates were not happy with him. He was scamming all the players. One of his teammates said there are also allegations on social media that the 24-year-old Sanford victimized fans as well. He allegedly sold the equipment he procured legally or illegally, and fans have accused him of taking money in advance and never delivering the equipment. So this kid is pretty messed up in the head. If he indeed is doing that, stealing the equipment, but it doesn't matter because he's out of the Yankees farm system now, and he is signed with the Ottawa Titans of the Independent Frontier League. So chances of him getting to the majors are slim to none now with this sort of reputation as a thief or at least a con man or a scammer. Uh, teams will be looking out for that. So um, there's that.
Yeah, yeah. That's a very odd story. You make it to the major leagues and uh, guys find their things missing. He's
I,
probably selling them on the black market, and that's an odd situation.
yeah, it certainly is. But money talks, I guess.
And if you're not making a whole lot, I guess it kind of adds up to pay some bills, maybe for some of these guys. But certainly not the right thing to do if you're uh, on a team and you're, in that vicinity to maybe have a nice career with baseball. Now, certainly you won't. So, tough story there, sad in a way. And before we go, Gary, I just want to give out a couple Twitter feeds to our folks out there. At Ump Crew, I think I brought this up maybe last week. They tweet out every baseball umpire crew for that specific day. If you can get them a couple hours before game time. Here's the Mets and the Colorado Rockies lineup of umpires, and there's also one for after the game called at umpire scorecards, and they're another great resource for you to find how specific umpires did on certain games. How many
Huh.
balls they missed, that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of followers. They almost have 250,000 followers. At Ump Scorecards is their name.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I
so
wonder how they
check it
get
out.
their hands on that stuff.
I think there's different sites that aggregate that, just like the Baseball Savant official statistics out of the MLB. I don't know if you've ever had the chance to go to that page, but they do some real time stats there with pictures and charts and things like that. And it's amazing that it's free to the public to get and access. You would think they would have that behind the scenes, but they share it with the public now.
I guess it's a good thing,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Very cool stuff out of there. And one last story before we go. There was I believe it was a Colorado Rockies media personnel that got hit with a foul ball the other night. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but she got hit with a line drive, and it was a shame. She was in the dugout there, and a ball came screaming into the dugout. Her name is Kelsey Winger. She's recovering from it. She had a nasty bunch of stitches on her head, and just a terrible story there when she showed a picture of the stitches. It just looked horrible. And if you're watching our video feed, I put it up there on the video feed, as you can see up in the top of her forehead there. Just caught her there. But what a dangerous place to be that close to the field sometimes. You really have to, you know, get down on your hands and knees sometimes to get away from those balls, but they're so fast, hard to react sometimes.
Yeah, certainly. It's very difficult. In fact, I was just reading a story yesterday in golf that the PGA Championship, an ESPN reporter or a host, Sage Steele, got hit in the head with a drive off. I believe it was John Rahm, number two player in the world. He hit it far left, yelled four left, and she got hit in the face, and
Uh,
apparently had some, was pretty bloodied up. So, um, that's why they put the nets up to protect the people. But the dugouts are still wide open, as they must be. You don't want them going out through nets and stuff. We've got enough separation now between the players. But you got to stay on your guard. That's the whole thing.
That's for sure. Well, we thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. We'll say goodbye to our friends over on Facebook Live, where we've been streaming now. And Gary, it was another great show. And as usual, I can't always wait till the next show.
Yeah, more things to talk about hopefully this week, Rich, and I'll see you then.
All right. Take care, everyone. Enjoy that warm weather out there.